Arthur C. Clarke said, "Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic." It's in the book Profiles of the Future that he wrote. And if you don't believe that or have a little trouble wrapping your head around the idea, it can help to be a little abstract and look at things in much simpler parts and terms. These words that you're listening to were spoken weeks, months, or maybe even years before you're now listening to them. They were remembered by a rock that we taught to think. But first, we trapped lightning inside that rock. The same kind of lightning we can produce using the remains of ancient dragons that roamed the earth aeons ago. Or by capturing the power of a giant fireball high in the sky that has been burning long before any of us were born and will continue to burn long after we have all passed away. Or harnessing the power of raging rivers and the winds in the sky. And the way you're able to listen to me is through that same lightning being pushed through two slabs of metal that thrum and shake in just the right way to recreate my voice. This and other amazing feats are our day-to-day life that we don't give much thought to. Until they stop working, that is. And we still don't necessarily know much about making them work again. And that's the very sort of wonder and frustration that the game we'll be talking about today encapsulates. With all that said, let's take a look at Mage to Order. Mage to Order takes place in the city of Thelema, where magic and technology go hand in hand and are one and the same. It's a city filled with all manner of technomagical wonders, which the citizens don't really think too much about. At least, not until something breaks. Which is where you, the player, come in. You play as a member of the Municipal Order of Technomantic Engineers, the maintenance workers of the city. Something breaks, and you're sent out to fix it. Doesn't matter how, just make it work again. Don't worry about consistency. The workers who fixed that thing before you didn't, and the person who comes after you probably won't either. Just as long as it works again. The rulebook for Mage to Order weighs in at a very modest 40 pages, each page being half the size of a standard sheet of paper. It's an easy night's read cover to cover with ample illustrations in Art Deco style straight out of the 1920s to 1940s. With that said, let's just go ahead and dive right into character creation. Creating a character in Mage to Order is pretty straightforward. You start with 3 ranks in skills, divvied up as you so choose, and also 3 ranks in specialties divvied up the same way. Skills are mundane means of solving problems, ranging from being tough or sneaky, to knowing things pertaining to science and magical theory, or just having affinity for things that can't be explained through any reasonable means. Specialties are your magical methods of solving problems, and these include things like brewing potions, creating magical objects, necromancy, and many others. Worth noting is that no skill or specialty can go higher than rank 3. You also gain 1 archetype each for both your skills and your specialties, which grant a further bonus or some kind of unique ability. For example, Exorcist gives you a -2 bonus to all necromancy-related rolls, on top of however many ranks you would normally have, and also allows your character to call on a ghost once per session to share their knowledge with you. Lastly, you decide upon your character's aspiration. This is simply some sort of short-term goal they hope to achieve, be it asking that QT 3.14 out on a date, or managing to put their annoying neighbor back in their place. Aspirations are important since they determine character advancement. If you succeed at your aspiration, you gain 1 rank in a skill. If you obviously or perilously fail, you instead gain 1 specialty rank. An example of this would be if they get rejected by the QT 3.14, or their plot against their neighbor backfires hilariously. Then, if necessary, you update their aspiration and continue on with the game. This can go on until a character has 5 skills and 5 specialties at rank 3. Their character then can no longer advance, and you should consider retiring them. All rolls in Mage to Order are resolved with 2 6-sided dice, with a bonus applied for using a relevant skill or specialty. Where things get tricky, though, is that skills add to your roll, while specialties subtract from it. This is because if you're rolling for a skill, your goal is to roll at or higher than the target number. Conversely, specialties you're trying to roll at or lower than the target number. The average difficulty for a target number is 7, but because of the unusual resolution in this game, it's important for GMs to keep this next bit in mind. To make a skill roll more difficult, you raise the target number, and to make a specialty roll more difficult, you lower the target number. The spirit of the game is that you can technically try anything even if you don't have ranks in it. There's no penalty for rolling a skill that you don't have ranks in, but for specialties, you'll be at a +1 penalty to that roll. And do remember, you want to roll under for specialties. Characters in Mage to Order also have a wound track and an ennui track. Anything that would physically harm a character would deal out a wound. Being more narrative-based, Mage to Order gives the guidance of, if it makes sense that a character doing or failing something would wound them, give them a wound. If a character takes 6 wounds, they'll be out of commission for however long is dramatically appropriate, unable to take any action whatsoever, mundane or magical. Though if they want, they can have their character sit out of the action for a little while, representing them taking time to use some kind of bandage, medicine, potion, or other mundane or magical healing method to treat their wounds. This heals one of their wounds, but for every 3 wounds that they heal this way, they gain 1 point of ennui. Ennui, in Mage to Order, is the psychological counterpart to wounds, and behaves with some small but meaningful differences. Besides spending too much time tending to your wounds, 1 ennui is also gained for failing any specialty roll. When the ennui track is filled up, characters become unable to use specialties. They may, however, still attempt at skills, which is an important distinction because failing a skill roll causes a character to lose 1 point of ennui. Otherwise, the only way to recover from ennui is after the GM says enough time has passed that you kinda get over it. Mage to Order does a lot of things I like to see in a game. First, players have some choice in whether or not they need to roll high or low, just in case they're convinced that their dice are cursed to roll one way or the other. And speaking of player choice, whether or not a character dies is also at their discretion. It also has those sweet, sweet bell curves that I love so very much because it uses 2d6. And it's a game that eschews combat, favoring creative problem solving using your abilities to do things besides making critters unalive. There's not much bad I have to say about Mage to Order. At worst, it can be a little short and a little rudimentary. There's not a great deal of content, and it doesn't experiment around too much. But on the other hand, a 40-page long tankobon is not where you should expect to find something revolutionary or groundbreaking. Mage to Order knows what it's trying to be, plays it safe, and does a good job at what it does do. As for whether or not it's worth getting, I'd say yes. It has all the requisite pieces you'd want out of a tabletop role-playing game. There's clear rules, well-defined character creation and advancement, and specified goals for what your character is meant to do. You're in a magical city and your job is to fix things, and those things have been repaired and retrofitted so much that it can sometimes be a hassle where fixing one problem invites many more. Which leaves you with just one question. When can you start? Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting or helpful, give me a thumbs up like. And if you're interested in learning about other indie, fan-made, or obscure role-playing games, check out some of my other videos. With all that said, I am Aron Der Schädel, and I will see you all next time.